we treat the Vietnamese the same way as we have treated the Aborigines.
The next stop is the Isle opposite David Jones.
What do we get? War! What do we want? Peace! What do we get? War! What do we want? Peace! What do we get?
Thank you.
A short period, 5 minutes, 10 of the most, the remainder of the crowd remain here for protection, and as soon as the Ladies and gentlemen, that's the proposition put forward by Professor Moore.
Do not clear the road immediately. You will be liable to arrest.
And you're 5 minutes.
The Minister for Customs and Excise, Mr Don Chip, has been in Newcastle addressing students about drugs. Mr Chip, do you think the incidence of drug abuse is increasing?
Yes, there's no doubt about that. We can't measure it exactly about drug abuse, but we can get some indications of seizures and arrests. And seizures have increased about 20 times in the last 2 years, which means an increase in seizures of about 2,000%. I've got no reason to believe that consumption would not have increased a similar amount. But that's bad enough. What is very bad, even worse, is statistics we've just submitted to the United Nations, which indicate that not only is consumption increasing, but there's more emphasis now on narcotics and the dangerous drugs rather than on cannabis and marijuana.
Do you think if some of the soft drugs, such as cannabis and marijuana, were legalised, this would take the emphasis off the hard drugs?
Well, I wish you'd stop calling it soft drugs. I wish everyone would stop calling them soft drugs, because the word soft denotes harmless and pleasant, and those drugs, marijuana, hashish, LSD, cocaine and so on, can be terribly harmful. And before we know much more about it, I think legalising it would be a tragedy. If it is as harmful as alcohol, then we would be legalising something that would be equivalent to the third largest killer of man. And this, to me, is a most spurious argument.
Well, do you think there's any other way of getting over it? Harsher penalties, perhaps?
Well, the penalties already are harsh. It's the problem. The problem we have is with the courts, who seem reluctant to impose penalties on drug pushers. Some people equate a drug pusher with a murderer. I don't walk away from that. At least the murderer's knife or bullet is quick and fast and painless. But the drug pusher has months, sometimes years of agony, madness before death comes. That's one way, harsher penalties by the courts, but the other way is for parents to assume their responsibility in bringing up their children, knowing where they are, communicating with them, instead of watching this thing for 21 hours a week, which they do.
You think the problem is mostly with young people then?
No, it's not. The problem with cannabis and those drugs is, but several nuns are not averse to popping 20 relaxer tabs or Bermudiides into their mouths every day, and the problem is quite severe with them too.
What about in a city like Newcastle, which is a port? Do you think the problem is greater here?
Well, it would be greater here, I would imagine, than an inland country town. I would have no reason to believe that the incidence of drug abuse in places like Newcastle is significantly less than bigger cities like Sydney and Melbourne.
Do you find most of your convictions are in the age groups, say, about the under 25s?
Yes, unhappily, most of them are.
Speaking on drugs has been the Minister for Customs and Excise, Mr Don Chip. With the signing of the contracts, Newcastle Masons today began the first stage of a $3 million complex for the aged. With me is the publicity officer for the complex, Mr. Tom Ellis. Mr. Ellis, this looks a pretty impressive model. Where have you got the finance for it?
Well, last Friday, Anne, we received a wonderful piece of news insofar as the Commonwealth Department of Social Service has told us that this venture had attracted a subsidy of $266,000. And with the Freemasons Benevolent Institution of New South Wales, who are initially lending the Masons of this district $183,000, if we put these two figures together, we think we can do this venture in the first set of units.
How many people will be housed in the first set?
In this first set of units, there are 54 domiciliary units, and this will house, in single and double units, 60 people.
Do they have to be Masons?
No, they have not got to be Masons. They do not have to have any Masonic affiliation. We are hoping to attract people from all religions to this venture.
When do you expect the first people to be moving in?
Well, as you saw this afternoon, the contract has just been let by Mr. D.F. McCloy, Proprietary Limited of Belmont, and he signed a piece of paper which said 26 weeks. And that will be around about New Year's Day, so it'll be a New Year's present for the people of Newcastle.
What are the other stages involved?
Well, this stage here is a geriatric home, ultimately to house 100-bed patients. But we are proposing early 72 to build this first third, which will hold 30-bed patients.
Why the name Hawkins?
Well, Mr. Albert Hawkins of Bullaroo and his family made a donation of 45 acres of land. It was his desire that, along with worshipful brother Eddie Liderman of Bullaroo, that they should do something for the aged in the district. And a very big team of Masons have got right behind these two gentlemen to bring this venture to reality. And I'm sure that anything a Mason does will eventually come true.
Is this the Newcastle Masons' first venture into social services?
No. The first venture was the Hunter Valley Masonic Hospital at Shortland. And it has proved a tremendous success and meets a need for not only Masons, but everybody in the community.
How long do you think it'll be before this dream becomes a reality, that is, the whole $3 million complex?
Well, Anne, that's the unknown future, but if the 12,148 Masons in the district have got anything to do with it, maybe next week. But the unknown future is maybe a year, maybe 5 years. We hope no later than 5 years.
And when completed, how many people will be here?
Well, there will be at least 300 people in these domiciliary units, of which there are 5 sets. There will be 100 bed patients in this geriatric home. There will be 60 bedroom type hostels accommodation with self-contained food dispensing and the like, and sitting room, etc., making it a unit similar to quite a few of the aged homes in the district.
Speaking on the Newcastle Masonic Club's Hawkins Village has been Mr. Tom Ellis, the publicity officer.
Thank you.
Old soldiers never die, they say, but what happens to old army tanks? We've asked Mr. Bruce McPhee what he's going to do with this fine batch that he has here at Wyong.
These will be sold in our sale, which will be run later this month.
What do you expect you'll get for each one, Bruce?
Well, we don't know. It'll be a unreserved sale. The best bid, I'd say.
And, well, what have you sold them for before?
We have sold these for up to $2,000. They're quite a useful machine, this particular type. It's an amphibian.
Does it work?
Oh yes, these are in new condition.
Well, it doesn't seem to have tracks on it.
We took the tracks off to transport them by road. It's a little hard on the road with the tracks on.
And who's likely to buy them?
Oil search people, mining companies for test boring rigs and so on. They're an amphibian, they float.
And they cost about as much as a family car?
Yeah, roughly, yes.
And are you accepting trade-ins?
I don't think so, no. Best bid buys them.
Right, thanks.